Hey everybody, welcome to the Off-Farm Income Podcast YouTube page. Thank you so much for being here. This is Matt Breckwald, always a pleasure. And I think this is the first Tuesday episode that I've recorded for the YouTube channel. So if you are only tuning in on YouTube, let me let you know what a Tuesday episode is all about. A Tuesday episode I started doing as a way of answering a request from listeners on the podcast, the Purely Audio Podcast, which is an episode with just me. And I would occasionally do what I call a solo episode on Fridays, but really didn't like to do that. But when I did do them, I had some listeners that were like, we really like it when it's just you. So I created another episode on Tuesdays, which is just me. And that is today. And pretty much what I do on Tuesdays is every now and then I'll cover a topic where I want to teach something to help people find a way to make their entrepreneurial venture work better for them, to better support their farming endeavors. And other times I just catch you up on what's going on our farm and in our lives. And so that's really what Tuesday episodes are all about. And we're going to start one coming up here in just a moment, and I will explain what I mean by saying the weeds are too tall. All right, we'll have that coming up in just a second. All right, everybody. Well, we're going to jump into talking about why the weeds are too tall today on this Tuesday episode. So forgive me as I'm feeling this out. I'm recording this on YouTube as well, which all of you watching on YouTube know, but it's interesting to try and figure out how to do a solo episode where I'm just chatting with you while I'm also got a camera pointed at me. So I'm kind of getting this all worked out on the go, everybody. Well, I've got a couple notes here that I want to cover. And the first thing is I want to draw your attention to an article. A friend of mine named Reed Hollinshead, who is a very talented writer, has been doing so for many, many years. He actually did a freelance article for the Idaho Press Tribune about me, which was kind of cool. And the title of the article is Matt Breckwald Pivots from Felon's Nightmare to Farmer's Friend. Well, I don't know about the felon's nightmare part. I certainly hope that I am the farmer's friend. But anyway, he did a nice job with it. It was based on basically my evolution or the transfer of my working life, my career, maybe just the large life transition from being a police officer, transitioning into owning my own agricultural service business, buying our farm, and then ultimately becoming an agricultural podcaster and trying to help all of you farm. So if you're interested in reading that, it's in the Idaho Press Tribune. You can always Google it, but I will link up to it on the show notes today too, and also on the YouTube page. I'll put a link in there for it. So if you want to read the article, feel free to. If you like it, please let Reed know that you like his writing. Really cool that he did that, and I will link up to that. You can check that out if you like, but I thought I'd just bring that to your attention really quick. If you're striving to do what I did, there it is. It's in print. It's condensed for sure. I could talk a lot longer about it, but there is not a newspaper invented that wants to have my whole story. So anyway, it is there for you. Check it out if you like. The other thing, I wanted to jump into this. So I was on a really cool trip 2 weeks ago. I went down. I met with let's see, I don't have permission to talk about this yet. So how can I phrase this? I met with a very influential agricultural company down in California that if I were to say the name, you would all know who it is, but I don't have permission to talk about that meeting just quite yet. So anyway, did that and went down to California, and as always happens, because those of you who listen regularly, you know I love interesting weather, and you know that I believe that I live in the place in the United States that probably has the most vanilla weather of anywhere. Now, we have the most uninteresting weather here in Idaho now. For most people, that is a big, big selling point. Yeah, we get some snow and we get some cold in the winter, but nothing major. And our lows are below freezing, but they're not horrible. And we get a lot of sunshine during the winter normally. We have beautiful springs, beautiful summers, and beautiful falls. We really, really do. But I'm a guy who likes big snowfall. I'm a guy who likes extreme temperatures. I'm a guy who likes big thunderstorms and things like that. And we just don't get that much of it here in Idaho. But it seems like, and I realize this is me tricking myself in my own brain, it seems like whenever I leave, all of a sudden, interesting weather rolls in. Well, while I was down in California having this meeting, I'm getting messages from Autumn and from Hattie saying you would not believe the thunderstorms we're getting. Now, for us to get thunderstorms in September is really, really abnormal. But we got a ton of thunderstorms and a ton of rain, which just blew my mind. And, of course, I was missing all of it. And that's always very upsetting to me because I never get to see awesome weather here. Well, it also impacts irrigation. So you all know I complain about this plenty, although I know I should not. I know that I'm very fortunate in this. But irrigation adds a lot of hours to my farm work. And if I loved irrigating, wouldn't be a big deal at all, but it's probably one of the parts of what we do here on our farm in Idaho that I like the least is the irrigation. And it costs money. I have to buy the water every year. I have to pay the electricity to pump it through our sprinklers. So, it's not my favorite part of it, but there is no venture out there that you're going to do where every single aspect of it you're going to love. Obviously, having the farm, raising the cattle, raising the pigs, the goats, all of that, and getting to live out where we do, that overshadows any parts that aren't my favorite. So, with that said, irrigation's not the worst unless it's going bad. I've got air in my lines or something like that, in which case it can get pretty frustrating. But on a normal day, it's really not that bad. But anyway, I have to irrigate. Well, it's expensive to run our pump. We're talking in, say, July and August when we're irrigating a lot. And for some farmers, this is going to seem like nothing. But for me, on a small farm, I'll have a $250 electric bill for that month running our pump. And it makes a big difference to us in yield. It's much easier to irrigate, and we get to irrigate parts of our place that otherwise would be dry. So that comes back to us. But with that said, if I don't have to run that pump, that's pretty cool. That's a cool thing. I can save water in my irrigation account, and I'm not running that electricity, and I'm not racking up that bill, which on a small farm, it impacts the bottom line more significantly than on a larger farm. Well, so it's really rare for us to get as much rain as we were getting in September. So as I'm hearing about this, the question I've got in my mind is, well, how much did we get? Because I know how much water I'm going to put on our alfalfa field, on our pastures when I irrigate, and I know what I'm shooting for. Well, if we get that, or if we get half of that again in rain or whatever it may be, then I don't have to irrigate as much or maybe at all, and I can avoid turning that pump on. I can keep that water in my account, in my irrigation account. So there's really no weather stations by any public entities close to our farm that can give me the actual, even a good estimate of how much rain we got during that event, because there's so many different micro things going on, right? There were thunderstorms, so you might have a place half a mile down the road that got nothing, and maybe we got a lot here, or maybe vice versa. So I can't really look at weather stations that are in the area, look at the rainfall totals that they got, and think, okay, that's what we got on our place too, and make my management decisions based on that. So when I got home from the trip, and of course the weather was all said and done, it blew out of here the day before I got home. I'm telling you, it's a conspiracy. So it had blown out of here. So I got home, and we've got a weather station. It's a Costco weather station, and I'm gonna get to this. We bought it at Costco some time ago. Actually, I think Autumn and Hattie got it for me for my birthday because I am a weather dork. There's no question about that. And so they got me this weather station. Well, it's getting older. The base station that sits in our kitchen had been wearing out. As you press buttons, it won't scroll through the functions anymore. So while it has on there somewhere the historical record of how much rain that we got during those storms, I couldn't find it. I couldn't get to it. And I tried. I mean, we're talking USB cords plugged in the computer, but it only interfaces with Windows. I've got a Mac. Me getting online, trying to get a workaround, me trying to figure out what I could do to find out what archival information is on here. And nothing. I got nothing. And so I got fed up, and I said, well, that is enough of this. So I headed down to D&B Supply. Yes, I did. Shameless plug for my great sponsor, and of course, the great client I've got whose show I get to host. But I truly did head down to D&B Supply, and I bought myself just a regular old rain gauge, which I should have had in the first place. You can all wag your fingers at me if you like, because I absolutely should have had one, but I did not. I was relying on this electronic deal. So I went down, I bought a regular old rain gauge. I bought an analog regular old thermometer, and I put the thermometer up on our back patio in an area where in the early morning it's not going to give you a good reading because it's going to have some direct sunlight, but for the rest of the day it's going to give you a good reading. I can look at that right out my kitchen window, and I like that. I like to be able to look out there and see something that's going to work whether or not the power is on. I put the rain gauge up out in a good area on our back fence, but an area where the cows couldn't scratch on it and break it. And then I bought a new weather station while I was at D&B. But I solved my problem. So here's the one I bought. I bought the Lacrosse Technology C83100 INT Wi-Fi Professional Weather Station in black. That's the one I bought. But the reason I bought it is because it's got we're years since I got my last weather station. This one has an app. So we hooked it up to the Wi-Fi in our house. I put the app on my phone, and now it doesn't matter where I am at. I can look at what the weather conditions are at my house. Now, if the power is out or the internet is out, and our internet comes over the air because we don't have any infrastructure bringing internet to our farm, if any of that's out, I don't get to do that through the app. But by and large, I will always be able to just glance at my phone and see how much rain we're receiving, what the temperature is, how hard the wind is blowing, and it keeps archival data for me. So I would have known even before I got back from California, had I had this, how much rainfall we had actually received at our place, and I could have come up with a plan for irrigation. And then when I got home, I could have double-checked it or checked it against my regular rain gauge if I had that already, and I could have made sure that it was working properly. Now, I will say we have got a little bit of rain since I put in the new weather station and the traditional rain gauge, and both correlated very well. So the rain gauge on my new weather station on this Lacrosse Technology is working very well because I checked it against a traditional rain gauge. But anyway, now I am totally set up. I'm not going to allow that to happen to me again. I'm going to be able to monitor how much we've got and know. So what did I do? So when I got home, I could not find the data. I couldn't find the information. And I even called the National Weather Service, by the way, and spoke with the people at the National Weather Service to figure out if they had data that was close enough to our farm that I could use. They did not. So I went out to our fields with a shovel in the old-fashioned way, dug a couple holes, checked our soil moisture, got it in my hand, and crushed it up and bounced it around and see if it would fall apart, and it wouldn't. And we had really good soil moisture from that storm. So I bet you we got over an inch, which a lot of you right now in Texas and Louisiana are saying, yeah, that we wish that's all we got. And I understand. But for us here in the Intermountain West in the high desert, that was a good storm for September. So I actually was able to put irrigation off for about another 7 to 10 days, and things look really good. So anyway, that's a long story about me, my attention to the weather, and me getting a new weather station. And I will tell you, I've got a buddy, and by the way, on this California trip, my friend Tyler Turnipseed, yes, that is his name, Tyler Turnipseed, who was the chief game warden for the state of Nevada. He and I were college roommates. We graduated college at the same time, him in the College of Fish and Wildlife Management, myself in the College of Agriculture up there at Montana State University. And I had gone to his retirement party on this trip. So on my way back from the trip, I stopped an overnight at their place and went to his retirement party. He retired early from his government job of being chief game warden for the state of Nevada. But I can remember going all the way back to when we were graduating, and he was going into fish and wildlife, and I was going into agriculture, and him making a comment of, don't you enjoy doing something for a living where you have to pay attention to the weather? And I know I've said that on the show before, but it's very true. I really do enjoy that, and I'll always remember Tyler saying that because it was a very, very good point. And he is as big of a weather dork as I am. But anyway, it was great to go to his party, and I was thinking about that on my way home. So anyway, now I've got this weather station. So here's what I'm going to do. On the website and on the YouTube channel, I'm going to link up to an affiliate link for this weather station. It really has worked very good. I've tested it against my analog thermometer and my analog rain gauge. Everything is working well. I put the anemometer, the wind capturing device, if you will, I put that actually quite a ways from the house to get it further away from the house and further away from trees so there'd be less interference. The signal's been great on that. It's worked just fine. And then the temperature gauge and the humidity gauge, I was able to put that in an area where the sun will not be able to influence that. Because on this previous weather station I had, it was all one unit, which I thought at first was really cool. But since it's all one unit, for me to be able to capture the wind and the rain, it can't be covered. It's got to be out in an open area. Well, the problem with it was that we would get temperature readings in the middle of the afternoon, like 114, 118 degrees, and of course it wasn't that hot at our place, and it's because it was in the direct sunlight. So this system, this lacrosse technology that I bought at D&B, this one, I can put the temperature and humidity sensor undercover on the north side of the house, and so it's not going to have any radiant heating effect on it from direct sunlight, and so I'll get really accurate temperatures. So I like this one quite a bit better because I was able to put all three sensors in 3 different locations. They all went in locations that was more conducive to getting accurate readings. So anyway, I'll put an affiliate link up on the website and on the YouTube channel. And if you're going to go buy one of these, I highly recommend it. I'd love it if you'd click through that link first, because then I get an affiliate commission. It helps us out here on the podcast. But anyway, I will do that. I was really pleased with what I've done. And, there's something cool about going out and checking your actual rain gauge and seeing what's in there, then emptying it, and recording the data and your own notes. I like that. I like old farmers that have a pocket, they've got a notepad in their pocketbook, and they've got records and records and records kept on there. I really like that. So I don't want to give that up because technology makes life so easy. I kind of like doing both, even though it's redundant. And now I've got a chance to do that. So anyway, that's me and the weather. All right, everybody. Hey, just really quick, want to take a moment just to remind you about Powder River Livestock Handling Equipment. I know I talked about them at the top of the show, but please go over to powderriver.com. Check out what they've got to offer. They're just a fantastic sponsor. They're in with us for the long haul, and I use their panels, I use their squeeze chute, their calf tables. I'll never go back. Never go back. They make great, great stuff, and boy, does it make life easy here on the farm. So please check them out, powderriver.com, Powder River Livestock Handling Equipment. They are fantastic. All right, what's next on my notes? So we talked about the weather station. We talked about Reed's article. Quick reminder, I started a new podcast. I've got 11 episodes out now. It is called Microphone Money. It is the Microphone Money podcast. The website is custompodcasting.com. Now, if you want to know more about my story, how I got going podcasting, yes, you could find that there. You'll learn about that there. So far, everything's a solo episode. They're really long. I've got a ton to talk about. But what I'm doing on this podcast is I'm teaching people how to build a podcasting business in the same way that I have built my podcasting business, which includes off-farm income, the D&B Supply Show, the Corn Revolution podcast, bulkloads.com, my advertising, selling our online course. Everything that we've done here, I'm teaching people how to do on that show. If you're looking for your source of off-farm income and you're thinking you'd like to emulate what I've done in terms of being able to broadcast from your farm, talk about your niche, whatever's in your industry umbrella, and you're wondering how to build that business, go on over to Microphone Money and listen to that show. The podcast itself is 100% free, just like off-farm income. Now, the website is a membership website, so there's very little that you can access on the membership site without being a premium member. That's $20 per month, and the reason I did that is because I've written such extensive show notes, basically pages to a book on teaching people how to build this business. That's only for the premium members, and then we're doing webinars over there where I'm teaching people one-on-one how to do this and doing a course once a month for them, as well as a private Facebook group so they can have access to me and ask questions about how to build this business whenever they like. And that's why there's a premium membership there as well. But if this is what you're thinking you'd like to do for your form of off-farm income, then jump on over to that show and check out that show. And I know even if you just take the free content on the podcast, there's really good information for you there. Because I will tell you this. I get perturbed by people who create podcasts and say they're going to teach you to do something, but then all their episodes, they're really, really vague, and they never really get to the meat of how do you do this, and they're always dangling something out there for you to spend money. Now, yes, I am dangling something out there for you to spend money with the membership site, but trust me, if you start listening to Microphone Money, you're going to realize I'm giving you all the information. I'm not answering specific questions because I don't have them in front of me, but I am giving you all the information I can think to give you. So you could build your business just based on listening to the show if that's what you wanted to do. If you wanted to speed it up, you wanted to clarify things, then you need to be a premium member. But honestly, I am giving you good information over there if you want to build this same business. So please check that out if that's something you are interested in doing. Okay, so if you looked at the Off-Farm Income website in the show notes for this particular episode, you see that the cover photo for this particular episode is a picture of a beautiful young lady shooting a rifle out in the desert right in front of the sunset. It's one of my favorite photos that I've ever taken. That is actually Hattie. That is my daughter Hattie. And that is last year when we were going out and she was practicing shooting her deer rifle, because last year is the first time that she went deer hunting and we did not get a thing. But she has drawn a very good tag this year in southern Idaho. So we're very excited about that coming up here in October. Well, we went out last night to shoot the rifle, get her back in the swing of things, but we had this really, really wet spring this year. Probably the wettest spring I've seen since I lived in this area of Idaho, up here in the Treasure Valley, in the Boise, Nampa, Caldwell area. And as a result, we got out there to go and shoot this rifle, and the Russian thistle had grown up so tall, and the only thing I can think of, because I've never seen it like this, the only thing I can think of is that wet spring we had. It was so tall that for her to lay out prone like she is in that picture and to shoot the rifle, it was impossible. There's no way to get, even with hills, the Russian thistle's too tall. There's no way to see your target. So we had to come up with all sorts of wacky ways to get her up high enough to be able to see the target and just take some shots, just get used to the feel of the rifle again in preparation for this deer tag she's got. So anyway, we ended up having her shoot out of the back of the pickup. And we set some things up, and she's all ear-muffed up, and she's got safety glasses and stuff like that, because shooting out of the back of the pickup sometimes with the echo can get loud, but we both have the safety equipment and the earmuffs. My hearing is from all those years as a police officer and having a microphone stuck in my ear. I've got the tinnitus and all that already, and shooting guns all those years. But for her, we don't want that to happen. So anyway, she had good safety equipment. Anyway, she's right on target. She's always been a good shot. Always been a good shot, whether it's been rifles or handguns. She's always been a very good shot, which with all my years of experience shooting and training for combat handgun shooting and rifle shooting as well, since I was on our rifle team, I know how bad habits can enter in and impact how well you shoot. And what's been so fun about teaching her how to shoot is she's come into it with no habits at all. And so we can start her out perfect, which is not the way I ever started out, because nobody, my grandpa, my dad, or friends, when they taught me how to shoot, they didn't come into it with a lot of training. They just came into it with the way they always did it. And then I got into law enforcement, and I got trained, no, this is the way you shoot well, fast, accurately. This is how you scan. I mean, all the things that go into it. And so I'm able to teach Hattie how to shoot with a lot more knowledge than the people who taught me how to shoot taught me. And it's been really cool to see how when you teach a blank slate how to shoot and you start them with the exact right techniques, how well they do. It's really cool to watch. And she shoots really, really well. Very well. Better than me, I think, because, again, blank slate, starting out clean. So it's been really cool. But anyway, yeah, that's why the title of this is The Weeds Are Too Tall, because we can't get on target, can't even see anything if you lay out prone. Even sitting shooting, we had to get her up higher. So it was really interesting, but we're excited for deer season to start. Well, what's been going on our farm? I'll tell you what's been going on our farm. We finally sold all of our goats. Now, I decided, so I had a plan, and I kept all of our goats over the winter last winter because I have been watching our livestock auction and noticing that the prices people were getting at our livestock auction for goats was actually better than what I was doing selling direct. And it's the same set of customers, but when they come out here and buy from me direct, there's a lot of haggling that goes on. And obviously I'm not that good of a haggler when it comes to selling my own goats. And so I was watching that, and I actually went down to a couple auctions, and I took detailed notes and watched the entire auction and saw where some some breaks in prices were, where some prices went up, some went down, where things were, and I noticed that at about 60 pounds on a goat, all of a sudden the price really, really spiked. And I also noticed a lot of the people from Africa, people of Muslim descent who live in our area here around Boise that were coming out to my farm and buying goats. I also noticed that a lot of those same buyers were at the livestock auction. But then I noticed that when they're all the goat buyers are in there together and they're looking to buy goats, the competition really raised the price. And so with cattle and with pigs, I sell direct, and I do much better than going to the livestock auction. But with goats, it's the complete opposite of that. So I kept all our goats over last winter to get them bigger so I could hit that price point. And then all of our goats from this year I took in as well, and I didn't castrate our males. I normally do, but I didn't, and I wanted to do an experiment with that because I noticed that bucks that were going through the sale ring in there were getting high prices as well. So I hauled everything in just a couple weeks ago. And our livestock auction only sells goats every other week, every 2 weeks. And so I've been trying to hit it, and I've been missing it because it seems like every Saturday I've got something going on and I can't get in there. So I finally got in there, and I had missed the last big Muslim holiday with a large feast, I guess, if you will. I had missed that, so I thought, I really missed a good opportunity. But I actually went in there, and there were very few people bringing goats in, and I think everybody had brought them in the previous sale for that holiday. And so I took them in there, and prices were really up, and those price breaks that I observed before were really there. So keeping those goats over the year, I think probably paid for itself, even though I fed them a little bit of hay last winter. I think it probably paid for itself doing that. So that was really interesting, but we sold almost every goat off of this place the other day. We just kept 4 or 5 back that are going to be sold later this year, and our does and our buck, and that is it. And what a difference. What a difference from all the goats we had on this place now to being way back down to, like, I think we have 14 does now, 14 nannies and a buck. And there's a few stragglers left over that I wasn't quite ready to sell because they were too small. And so what a difference. But anyway, that worked out really good. So for those of you who are looking to sell goats, man, look into your livestock auctions. I will tell you that I think sometimes the prices can be much better if you get some fierce competition in there for a limited amount of animals, because they really start bidding against each other because that's it. That's the only place they're going to get them. So it was really interesting. And if you're wondering where that price jump was, it was about 60 pounds. About 60 pounds is where I saw a significant price jump when I had done my research, and that proved out to be true last weekend as well. So that's kind of where I saw it. And that's why we changed bucks too, because I wanted to get bigger goats coming out for being able to sell. All right, everybody. Well, hey, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being on the YouTube channel. I really, really appreciate it. This is a lot of fun to do. Thanks for putting up with me. And hey, if you've never seen a Tuesday episode before, this is pretty much what it is. Everybody, enjoy your journey to the ultimate lifestyle business, agriculture.